In 2024, while democratic nations debate free speech online, 25 million North Koreans face systematic surveillance they cannot escape. They cannot choose their jobs, their futures, or even the clothes on their backs. Today, you'll hear from someone who witnessed the consequences of defying this system and chose freedom over certain death. This is the untold story of 9 soldiers who made an impossible choice at the Korean DMZ. If these stories matter to you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us amplify the voices of those trapped in the world's most repressive regime. Staying in the unit means certain death, and crossing the minefield could also mean death. The North Korean frontline guards ultimately chose the minefield. Faced with the same death, why did they not stay in the unit, but instead rush towards the minefield? In 2024, an incident occurred at the North Korean frontline guard unit managed by Yo-jong. That night, 9 young men made an unimaginable choice. From now on, I will tell you the terrible reason that led them to the land of death. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe and like. Your attention helps bring the stories hidden in silence to the world. It all started like this. In 2024, at the Northern Frontline Guard Unit. This was a special unit because it was known to be directly managed by Yo-jong. As you know, in North Korea, when someone says directly watched from above, it means the same as death. The officers said with dry mouths, "Before Yo-jong sees it, don't leave a single typo. If the numbers in the report are wrong, you're finished." This one sentence enveloped the entire unit. A single letter in the report, a 1-minute difference in shift times, became a matter of life and death for the soldiers. Although it wasn't as strict as the military discipline during the Korean War, a similar atmosphere settled over the unit. I was in my late 30s at the time. I was older than most of the senior soldiers, and because I wrote well, the officers sometimes asked me to organize reports. Although I had no official position, because of that, I naturally ended up taking care of the other soldiers, mostly young kids in their early 20s. The senior squad leader controlled with nothing but violence. If a new recruit made the slightest mistake, a fist would fly, and if they took a step back during night duty, they would be scolded. Every time I saw that, I sighed. It was like the seniors bullying juniors during the Japanese colonial era. This structure of trampling the weak kept repeating. What did these kids do wrong? I secretly sat next to the new recruits. When they ate, when they rested, when I saw them getting hit, I would also bow my head forward with them. And I vowed in my heart, I have to protect these kids at least. The senior squad leader gathered the juniors and said, "Remember, if something goes wrong, the responsibility always falls on those below. Whatever orders come from above, you have to accept them. And if a problem arises, the frontline soldiers get blamed. To survive in this unit, you must stay silent and follow orders." How accurate that statement was, I realized a few days later. The unit's atmosphere at the time was, in one word, always had to be on high alert. It felt like we couldn't breathe properly, like someone would snap our necks at any moment. At night, we checked the reports again, and in the morning, we checked them again just in case. Looking back now, we were already walking on the edge. Someone didn't know it, and someone already did. And that someone was about to appear. At 4 in the morning, in the unit where no one was awake, something moved. Should I describe it as disappearing or escaping? When I woke up, 5 were already gone. 5 young soldiers in their early 20s. The kids who used to smoke together, eat together, and stay up all night checking reports. Huh? Where did these guys go? The new recruit leader jumped up. The tension in the unit rose noticeably. Everyone thought of one thing: desertion. But the truly terrible thing started from here. The political instructor called the company commander. I witnessed the scene from the side. The political instructor's face was pale. If we report it as desertion, we're all finished. Understand? If Yo-jong finds out, we're all dead. Write it as duty abandonment, just as a temporary lapse in vigilance, personal departure. The company commander shook his head. That won't work. The Northern Corps will immediately notice the discrepancy in numbers. Underreporting is even more dangerous. It's better to report the truth. Better? Do you want to die? The political instructor's voice trembled. You know that voice people have when they're really scared. So the report split into 2. Political instructor's report. 5 duty abandonments, company commander's report, 5 desertions. At this moment, the unit was already falling apart. The remaining soldiers trembled in fear and whispered, "What are they doing? If it's discovered above? If Kim Yo-jong finds out, we're all really dead." Meanwhile, I pretended to organize administrative records. But my hands were shaking because I already knew. These 2 contradictory reports would definitely go up, and something would definitely explode there. In the meantime, I witnessed something strange. A voice came out of the radio. It wasn't the unit's internal frequency. It sounded like someone was reporting something to the outside. I didn't know who did it, but something was definitely being recorded behind that signal. And later, I realized that was the evidence. Because I was in charge of administrative assistance at the time, I had to organize the computer record files. While looking at those files, I noticed something strange. There was a gap in the DMZ surveillance equipment records. The records for a specific time period had been accidentally deleted. No one told me to delete this, but someone knew about it. That night, I lay in bed and just looked at the ceiling. The moisture marks on the ceiling looked like fingers. I felt like someone was constantly watching me from above. How terrifying and cold that surveillance gaze was. 5 desertions, 5 duty abandonments, 2 reports, 1 lie. But where is the truth? That's when I first realized. In North Korea, the truth isn't scary. There's something much scarier than the truth. It's the words they want to hear above. Whether it's the truth or a lie, the moment you say what they want above, you become an accomplice to it. Everyone there knew the truth, even though it was a lie. And there were only 2 fates for the accomplices: die together or die alone. Those were all our options. Everything fell apart quickly. The desertion report and confusion reached Kim Yo-jong in just 2 days. And the very next morning, the Core Security Department appeared at the unit's main gate. 2 black jeeps. All the windows were down, and the expressions of the people inside were not visible. But we knew. This was not an investigation, but the beginning of a purge. The investigator was a man in his 50s with a stern impression. He spoke his first words in front of the company commander. 2 reports? Who dares to play such a trick? There was something deeper than anger in that voice. It was a chilly tone, as if someone who already knew everything was seeing something that left no room for interpretation. The veteran squad leader gathered the new recruits. I witnessed it from the side. How pale the veteran's face was, and how much the recruits were trembling. If you open your mouth wrongly, you all die. Got it? The veteran's voice was no longer violent. Rather, it was scarier. It was a voice of despair in the face of death. The investigator entered the unit office, and what started there began to crush us all. The first thing the investigator did was unexpected. He didn't read the report. Instead, he sat in front of the computer and turned on the DMZ surveillance equipment log recording system. And he pointed to a specific date, the very day of the desertion incident. On this day, why is the surveillance equipment record empty? At that moment, someone's face in the unit turned pale. My face must have turned pale too, because I knew what that blank space was. The investigator scrolled through the record window like a detective. A specific time period was completely deleted. 27 minutes. Exactly 27 minutes remained blank. Who erased this? The company commander shook his head. I don't know either. The investigator didn't look at the company commander. Instead, he continued to follow the records and wrote something on a notepad. The date, the time, down to the minute. How scary his actions were. I realized it from behind. This man already knows everything. He's just going through the process of making it evidence. The investigator checked a few more things. Radio records, duty shift logs, supply records. He followed everything and took notes. And finally, he took out a USB. I will copy these files, the company commander said. Those records are classified. The investigator looked directly at the company commander for the first time. There was no sympathy or anger in that gaze. There was only a certainty that you are already finished. What's the importance of classified information? This is a unit where 27 minutes of surveillance footage disappeared. It seems like there's no classified information or anything that's disappeared. Silence. The entire unit froze. What the investigator took was not just a simple file. It was our fate chart. The USB contained evidence that would take away all our chances of making any excuses. That night, I prayed for the new recruits. You know, too, even without religion, you pray in the face of despair. Please, let someone survive. That day, the investigator's cold face is still unforgettable. It was the expression of someone who already knew something bigger than us. Whatever it was clear that it couldn't save us. The investigator's final report was the unit's tombstone. He came out of the investigation room and calmly spoke in front of the company commander, as if a doctor was giving a death sentence to a patient. On that day, the DMZ surveillance footage completely disappeared for 27 minutes. Missing report. Cover-up. This means a collapse of the entire security system. It is tantamount to treason. The unit froze like it was dead. No one moved. It seemed like they forgot to breathe. Because we all knew. The meaning of those words, tantamount to treason. The veteran squad leader went crazy that night. I don't know exactly when he started going crazy, but the moment he heard those words, his eyes completely changed. Like someone being pushed off a cliff. He gathered the new recruits. His voice was trembling. It was not anger, but pure fear. Who touched the surveillance footage that day? Who? Tell me. If you don't, we'll all die. You bastards. The new recruits were trembling. No one could answer, because no one had touched the surveillance footage. It was an accident. Or more precisely, it was an incident, not someone's mistake. The veteran continued to shout, "Someone has to take responsibility. Someone has to. That's the only way we survive." There was already a desire to designate a scapegoat in those words. I couldn't bear it. At that moment, something ended inside me. The desire to protect the unit. The desire to remain silent. Everything, I said to the veteran. "Sir, this is not right." Pointing fingers at someone, making someone a scapegoat. The veteran's eyes turned towards me. They were filled with crazy madness. The next moment, a fist flew. I felt my cheekbone break, and the rest was a whirlwind. The unit became a chaos. The new recruits were crying, and the veteran kept shouting, "What the hell? You bastards! We're all going to die." The political instructor, even in the midst of it, was spreading an even more terrible rumor. "Did you hear? Kim Yo-jong is coming down himself to conduct a local investigation. I heard some of you will be shot." When those words spread throughout the unit, there was no more hope. As the night deepened, the air of the unit became heavier and heavier, as if someone was slowly choking. The USB that the investigator took contained all the evidence. And seeing the rumor going around that he even took the radio frequency records, this was no longer an investigation, but news of a mass execution. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. My cheekbones hurt. My eyes were swollen too. But it didn't matter, because I already knew. This unit was dying. We were all dying. And the scariest thing was, there was nothing we could do. Looking back, even the veterans were just going crazy with fear. The investigators, the political officers, the company commander. Everyone was struggling to escape from Kim Yo-jong's eyes. And in the process, rookies like us were just being abandoned. This can't go on anymore. That's when I made up my mind. A real decision. We might die in this unit. But at the very least, we had to get out of this hell. No matter the cost. Even if it meant abandoning our hometowns, our families, everything. Surviving. That was the only way. The unit was essentially paralyzed. Rations were cut off. More accurately, they were intentionally cut off. The order was to limit supplies during the investigation period. Rookies only got 1 bowl of corn porridge a day. And half of that was water. There's nothing to eat. I'm so hungry. The children's murmurs could be heard all night. The investigators called the rookies 3 times a day. They repeated the same questions. What did you do on the patrol boat that day? Who erased the records? Why are there 2 reports? When you repeat the same thing 3, no, 10 times, people end up lying, no matter how strong their will. That was the purpose of the investigation. Then one day, a messenger whispered secretly, "Did you hear? Kim Yo-jong has started a full-scale inspection. This time for real. People are dying." Those words paralyzed the entire unit. No, more accurately, they completely killed the unit. The rookies' eyes changed. Especially the children lying next to me in the last rookie room started crying. Early 20s, the age when they were most loved at home. They must have thought they had to come here and die without even getting married. "What did we do wrong?" one rookie asked. That voice wasn't a question. It was a scream. "Why do we have to die? We didn't do anything." Another rookie burst into tears. Mother, father, my chest felt like it was going to burst. What did these children do? What is their crime? Just being in this unit? Just being in the same place at the same time? I stayed awake all night. Staring at the ceiling, listening to the children's cries, I realized there is something scarier than death. Scarier than death is the reality that there is no one to hold us accountable. There is no father, no mother, no older brother or sister. There is only this unit, and this unit is trying to kill us. At that moment, I decided on 9 people in my mind. Myself and 8 rookies, the weakest children, the most frightened children, the children with the highest chance of dying. 9 of us leave together. If we stay here, we all die. That was my judgment. The next day, I went to find the assistant squad leader. He looked at me strangely. "What are you doing?" "Sir, I have something to tell you." "What?" I was cautious. I couldn't get a single word wrong. The assistant squad leader is different from the veterans. At least he doesn't try to kill the rookies. If we stay in this unit, we will all die. I know that. The assistant squad leader looked at me. His eyes were complex, as if what I said was a truth he also knew. "Yeah, I think a few of us need to leave. We all need to leave. That's the only way to live." Those words were enough for me. It meant the assistant squad leader wouldn't stop us. From that night on, my life changed. I was no longer a soldier of the unit, but a fugitive responsible for the lives of 9 people. A traitor who left the unit. But at the same time, I became the only hope for those children. Think about it. If you had to choose between death and escape, I chose escape. No matter how difficult, no matter how dangerous, no matter how low the odds, I was also afraid. But it wasn't death, because death wasn't an option. Death was fate, and escape was a possibility. We chose the possibility. The unit was essentially paralyzed. That was our opportunity. I secretly drew a map at night. The location of the minefield, the gaps in the fence, the location of the North Korean guard post, as I knew from the DMZ's surveillance equipment records. I drew it in the dirt with my finger and explained it to the 9. This is the path we need to take. The rookies swallowed their saliva. They knew that it was the path of death. "There are landmines," one rookie asked in a trembling voice. "Yes, there are, but there is a path. If everyone follows, we will live." It was a lie. I knew that too. The odds of all 9 of us surviving were almost 0. But if I didn't say that, no one would follow. As the night deepened, the preparations became more meticulous. The assistant squad leader adjusted the night duty schedule. He gave us the time when the guard was the most lax. He didn't say it in words, but that was his way of letting us go. The veteran squad leader didn't look at us, or rather, he pretended not to see us. There was a different emotion in his eyes. Pity or relief? I don't know. But he seemed to want us to leave too. It must have been hard for him to wait for us to cleanse the unit's sin with our deaths. Every night, we practiced going to the fence through the drainage ditch. How to move quietly, how to hold our breath, how to avoid landmines. Every step seemed to measure the distance to death. Every moment was filled with tension, and every moment felt like an eternity. When one rookie approached, my foot moved. It was a simulation of stepping on a landmine. The child didn't scream. His eyes just changed, eyes that understood that it was death. "We must be quiet." That's all I said. On the last day, the 9 of us packed our belongings. There was hardly anything. A bottle of water, a handful of salt, clothes. That was all. Everyone knew this was the last night. Someone must have realized this preparation was for death. But no one said anything. In silence, we completed our final preparations. I gathered the new recruits. Once we go out, we might die. There are landmines, guards, and there will be a chase. But if we stay here, we will definitely die. Without knowing anything, without anyone taking responsibility. "Are you still going to go out?" All 8 new recruits nodded. These kids in their early 20s had already chosen death. They just hoped it would be death by landmine. They hoped it would be a death of their own choosing. We are 9. 9 of us will go out together. No one will be left behind. Understood? Yes. There was no despair or hope in that voice. There was only determination. Determination towards death. That night, I lay in bed and looked at the ceiling. I thought this might be the last night. I couldn't tell if tomorrow would be our end or a new beginning. But we could no longer be afraid. It felt like we had already used up all our fear. By tomorrow night, we might all be dead. But I thought that death would be better than death in this unit. There was no turning back now. Tomorrow night, we would go into the minefield. 9 of us together. Even knowing that someone might not return, we had to go. It rained. It seemed like even the sky was trying to help us. The rain was so heavy that it blurred the North Korean surveillance cameras. 11 o'clock at night. The deputy squad leader looked at us. He didn't say anything, but his eyes said everything. Go and survive. That was the last gift he could give us. It was clear that the deputy squad leader would also be executed for this incident. I teared up. I saluted the deputy squad leader and turned around. We crawled under the fence through the drainage ditch, breathing carefully. Radio silence. No one spoke. The hearts of the 9 of us echoed in the night sky. The minefield was a black pit. The soil beneath it was the soil of death. The moment we took our first step, we knew. This was death. Or freedom. 10 minutes passed. We were still alive. One recruit misstepped. The world exploded. Fire, soil, and blood shot up into the sky. A scream cut through the night sky. That sound was the sound of death. The recruit's leg was gone. Just gone. Blood fell black in the black rain. Another recruit automatically picked him up. Without time to think. It was instinct. The instinct that you can't abandon a comrade. Don't look back. We ran. At a murderous speed. Someone ran screaming. Someone ran crying. Explosions went off one after another. 2 more landmines. Someone's arm was stained black. Someone was crying. Someone was dragging a dead comrade. Time didn't pass. No, it passed too quickly. 40 minutes. We passed through the last fence. At that moment, gunshots rang out. North Korean gunfire. But we also heard gunshots from behind us. South Korean soldiers. Get down! Don't move! We got down. Guns were pointed at us. Please spare us. We are North Korean defectors. Any proof? We had nothing. Looking back, one recruit was missing. We slowly raised our hands to show we were unarmed. The South Korean soldiers, seeing us covered in blood, finally lowered their guns. At that moment, we could no longer speak. We just cried. We collapsed. That night, we lost 3. 2 recruits died from their injuries. And 1 recruit disappeared somewhere. They were friends who spent the same night together. But 6 survived. Wounded, but they survived. Now I live in South Korea. I settled after going through Hana Center. There, they call me a North Korean defector. I am now a South Korean citizen. But I still look back. The one left behind in the minefield. The 2 who died from their injuries keep coming to mind. South Korea is free. Convenience stores open 24 hours. A country where you can drink as much water as you want. You can even check North Korean news on the internet. But all this freedom came at the cost of blood. Sometimes at night, I hear the sound of that night's explosion. I hear the screams of my dead comrades. The face of the one we had to leave behind comes to mind. One of the 6 is still hospitalized. One is receiving psychiatric treatment. One still can't speak. We survived, but we are still dying. We can't contact our parents. In North Korea, the families of defectors are punished. So I can never see my hometown's mountains and rivers again. I can't even visit my mother and father's graves. Everyone, you have heard the story of the 6 who escaped with me. The deaths of 3. The wounds that have yet to heal. Your attention has saved our lives. The world's attention, the media's coverage, that's what kept us from going back to North Korea. Even now, there are countless of our compatriots trapped in silence. There are those who dream of escape. There are those who must choose freedom in the face of death. Your subscriptions and likes can be hope for our countless compatriots trapped in silence. When more people know this story, more North Koreans can dream of freedom. I live in South Korea, but my heart is still with the comrades who died in the minefield. For them, and for those who still dream of escape, we must raise our voices. This is our story. This is a story of 6 people, not 9. But the 3 who died, us, and all our fellow countrymen still in North Korea, are our brothers and sisters. Thank you.